time to get into some pillow talk. Okay, so what is the pillow? So the pillow, as we call it these days, I used to sort of say cushion. In the first version of the course, I called it a cushion, and then I don't know where it got lost in translation, but it's officially known now as the pillow. Now, the reason we call it the pillow is we want it to be a little bit bouncy underneath your bloom. So it is layer number 1 in the bloom technique. Even though it seems quite insignificant, it's just a puddle of white paint at the bottom, it actually is quite important. It is really just as important as the other 2 layers. The reason being is some of the pillows tend to get a little bit bubbly. They can be a little bit too thin, they can be too thick. Kind of just has to be just right. So don't forget to check the handbook for all the product availability for the pillow in each of the countries. Now, the Australian pillow that I've used for this course is the British Paints Low Sheen. White is the color, obviously. We don't want any untinted paints or anything being used for the pillow. We really want that pillow to be white. So it's a British Paints Low Sheen interior for walls. Now, probably doesn't make too much difference if it's interior or exterior. The exterior you will pay more for, which is a bit unnecessary. So sticking to just the interior wall paint, it makes it a little bit more affordable. There's lots of great available pillows around the world now. So yeah, just make sure you keep checking that handbook to get the right pillow in the area that you are. If you have a look on the screen now, this is the Australian pillow. Be sure to get the correct one. Have a good look at the tin. The pictures of these tins are also in the handbook as well. So you can easily take a snapshot of that before you go to the paint store or the hardware store and make sure you are in fact purchasing the right one. Don't forget, if you do get home and you open it and you find that it might not be the one you were meant to buy, it can always be worth just having a crack at taking it back and seeing if they'll exchange it for you. Some of these paint guys are nice, others can be a little bit of trouble, but yeah, if you find the right person to help you out, I'm sure they'll swap it over for you. Just don't leave any drips on the top of the tin so that it doesn't really look like you've opened it. Little hack there. What is the job of the pillow exactly? Okay, to be exact, the job of the pillow is to be kind of like a vehicle. It's going to move and spread your bloom across the surface when we spread it out, while creating a white backdrop for your colors to show up vibrantly on top of. It's going to help stretch your cells out, and it's also going to give it a base at the bottom so that when we execute our bloom and we start to tilt it or spin it, we're not losing all of the color as it folds under itself. We need some sort of paint base. Now, the reason we use house paint is because we want it to be quite bouncy. Acrylic paint from the art store, look, you can definitely use that. I do have course members that do use acrylic paint from the art store. They prefer it, but generally I really like the wall paint because it's nice and stretchy and thick and bouncy. So for me, it's the perfect solution for painting a bloom on top. It's going to give me a lot of elasticity. It's great for advanced techniques like the ribbons and the swirls and things like that. So let's talk about how much we're going to use. Now, I don't really measure things these days, but I did put 100 ml of pillow paint in this cup, and this is an 8-inch board. So I don't know how good you are at math. I pretty much suck at it, but 100 mils onto an 8-inch board should be what I'd say the perfect amount. If you want to have a go at eyeballing, you would generally just pour the paint onto the middle, not until it goes all the way to the outside here, leaving just a bit of a gap here. It'll spread out a little bit more, but this would be the perfect amount. See how I've got enough here? I'm definitely going to be able to reach all of the edges and have it flow down over the edge. And so that is the perfect amount, 100 ml of pillow paint for an 8-inch board. Should be able to use that as a a basic indication, and then do a little bit of calculating as you go larger. Probably a good piece of advice would be to use a little bit more rather than a little bit less. If you don't use enough when you're stretching out your bloom, it can really start to distort the cells if you're pushing it, stretching it too hard and trying to make that last bit of paint go that last distance. It's going to possibly wreck a little bit of your design and some of your cell structure. So there you go, that is the pillow. Don't forget to check the handbook and the notes at the end of the course, so that you know exactly where to get yours and what it has to be. A really big tip is do not get the gloss. You don't want a glossy pillow. The reason you don't want a glossy pillow is when we get into the colors are super glossy. So we don't want the gloss sliding on the gloss. We want it to grab a little bit. So that's why we're using the low sheen or the eggshell or the satin if you're overseas. Flat ceiling paint is also a no-go. It's a beautiful toothy surface for your glossy colors to grab onto as we spread our bloom across. But the problem with it is the flat paint is it dries a lot different, and it will definitely crack your entire bloom to pieces, which can be really devastating when you make a really nice painting. And as we know, sometimes they just don't survive through that drying process. And having the right pillow and the right amount of pillow is paramount for drying success. So there you have it. There is the number one layer in our bloom technique, the pillow.